freedom was never free. That we had to shed blood, especially blood and lives, to get this freedom. But I'm happy now that we've moved on as a nation. We no longer have to fight to establish a right. As a human rights lawyer myself, we had to fight to establish a right. Today, the rights are enshrined in the Constitution. They're there. We just have to exercise those rights. But let me speak clearly on this issue, a message to the nation. It is very important we establish a charter of responsibilities. Because freedom is not only about rights, it's also about responsibilities. So we teach the nation, young people, that it's not all about rights. It's also cool to talk about responsibilities.
So I may have a right to do something or a right to something, but I have to exercise in a particular way. I've got certain responsibilities. So it's a two-way street.
Yeah, but we've promoted right as if it's only right. It's obligations. It's like two sides of the same thing. You know, for every right, there's an obligation. And that will engender a sense of responsibility and destroy the sense of entitlement.
When you look at South Africa today, and you look at what happened in Marikana in August 2012, and you look at where the service delivery protests are today, and we spoke to some people in Sharpeville this week who are saying, you know, one of them was 16 years old at the time, this man, today he's older. He's saying, for me, nothing much has changed. What do you say to that?
Well, it hit you hard, but as a leader, you should not succumb to the shocks. You should say, this is a genuine cry. This is a challenge to me. How do we address the remaining legacy?
Yeah, I spoke to Human Rights Watch official earlier this morning here on eNCA about when they talk to people on the ground as they do their human rights research. What are the key issues? And she said socio-economic conditions. If this transformation cannot take place, therefore these rights, people will never enjoy them fruitfully.
Well, they will remain beautiful on paper. People want to have jobs. You know, to be unemployed is very humiliating. People want to have shelter, to have water flowing in your house when you sleep with your children. It's very humiliating. So we need to build houses, build our streets, create jobs, grow the economy, make sure that we develop the rural areas and reach out to the millions of people in the rural areas and not shut them away from freedom. Look after women and children, the disabled in particular, intellectually disabled, physically disabled. We must reach out to every sector of society. It's easier said than done. It's a challenge for government.
Yeah, and therefore socio-economic transformation, in other words, for the next 20 years of democracy, as we mark 20 years this year, should be a focus for government, private sector, NGOs, and citizens who also have certain responsibilities themselves.
I said I've talked about responsibilities, and I think I want to make that the mantra of this day. Responsibilities, not only rights. We must make it a joint effort. Government alone cannot deliver services. It's private sector, labor, NGOs, and everybody must join effort to deliver services. It's very easy to throw a stone, but it's difficult to build the window you break. We should discourage people from taking shortcuts to solutions.
Yeah. Now, if you talk about labor, we've had strikes. The platinum strike has been going on, platinum mining strike since January. There's no end to it. Workers, they're crying out for a much larger basic salaries. So in terms of responsibilities, we all need to be responsible to take the country in one direction. We can't be pulling in different directions. Sometimes we get a sense that that might be happening today.
Well, we need to bring order in trade union movement in the country. So there is consensus on broad issues in the trade union movement. It doesn't matter what their names are. And get business to sit down with the trade union movement and find just solutions to issues of wage, not only wage, salaries, not only that, but the living conditions of the workers. If workers live in squalor, they are likely to demand more money to want to build houses. But if you give them conditions where there's a proper compromise about their living wages and their conditions of living, not just working, it will improve the situation. The strikes as they are at the moment are a disaster to the economy of the country.
Know more about your world.
eNCA.com